Good morning, 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 lovely souls. Morning, beautiful empaths. There's more unscripted, guys. It's the empath exodus. So, um, in today's subject, I'm going to talk about spiritual isolation, or something term what some other people might refer to as like that period of loneliness. You know, like when you feel like uh, you're going through you're going through an awakening, and most definitely sometimes you're going to find yourself like um, isolated, not in a bad way, you know. So the whole thing of isolation is that, you know, you're just having something what they call a rebirth. So, you know, everything about you, your inner self is going to start like you're going to start going through um, a rebirth. So you're going through a spiritual cleansing. I don't know if I can call it a spiritual cleansing or a rebirth. So in my last video, when I talked about the spiritual awakening, I explained a lot of things, and I was very specific that when you're going through an awakening, usually you experience something what they call the death of ego. So the death of ego, and a lot of things, your old self starts to collapse. You know, your old version of you starts to collapse, and you're having some sort of a rebirth. So you are turning into somebody new, and you're moving like you're moving towards your life purpose. And definitely, the life can never be the same, as I told you. And it shouldn't be a shock to find yourself when you're going through an awakening, that you for some reason you find yourself lonely. So it's a process, because definitely, like I said, uh, you have been unplugged. So it's like when you're going through an awakening, you are like kind of unplugged from your old state of consciousness, and you are exposed to a new dimension of reality. You know, some other things, so many things that you never knew existed. It's not because they were never there. It's not because they were actually never in existence. They have always been there, and that life has always been there. But it's just because that when you're deep into your egos, when one is deep into their ego, they can never see these other things. Like um, they can never experience that level of consciousness, because it's like when you're in the when you're in the third dimension state of consciousness, like what many people like to refer to towards the matrix. You know, you have that kind of lifestyle, which most of the time you think is like uh, which you have known always to be true, which you think is serving you, which you think is good for you. But during the spiritual awakening, one of the things you can realize is that you feel that kind of unplugging. Is like you're unplugging for that from that state of consciousness. That your old self is like dying out, and you're now starting to experience a new dimension of things. And there's so many things that are going to change about you. Definitely, you're going to experience, you know, your friends' circles, you know, your friends that your old version, because you're being rebirthed. You know, you're going through a rebirth, so you're turning into somebody new, and your old cycle of things, your cycle of life, your cycle of lifestyle is going to die out. So what do I mean by that is that all those friends you have, like people you've been known to, people you've been used to, you know, people you've been hanging around with, you know, most of the time even you can find sometimes your girlfriends, you know, you're if you have been in a relationship, like whether you've been married or maybe you've been just having some kind of a relationship, you're going to find that relationship you're falling out, because like uh, you somehow start to raise a vibration, and those old things of you, that old self of you starts dying out, whereby sometimes you can even find yourself falling out with your partners. Sometimes you'll be falling out with your partners. Sometimes when you're going to get an awakening, sometimes you can find that before you awaken, somewhere close to your awakening, you start falling out with people. So you start falling out with like your girlfriends, for example, or you can start falling out with your partners or your wives or husbands, and everything starts falling out of place because and sometimes it can be a very scary situation. Sometimes I mean when I had my own experience, I was like, I just didn't understand this whole thing. What exactly was going on? I just didn't know that actually, all those things that are not in your service, in your favor, and all those things that you have always known to be true, that actually it was all an illusion. So the whole illusion of things you have known starts falling out. So your girlfriends, you break up with your girlfriends, you start breaking up with your husbands, and then when you finally get the awakening, then over the next couple of weeks or months, that is when actually intensively you're going to start losing people. So the whole idea is that when you're going through an awakening, you're also going through something what they call an ascension. So you're going through an ascension and raising your level of consciousness and connecting with the higher self, connecting with the best version of you. So definitely when you're connecting with the best version of you, there's no way you're going to connect with the best version, with your better version, when you're still hanging around with the old version. So the old version has got to go. So most of your jobs have got to go. Those old jobs have got to go, because you cannot ascend. You cannot ascend effectively when you're still hanging around in your old jobs that you've been doing, because they are no longer serving you, and they're no longer fit for you. So for someone to be able to ascend successfully, there's no way you're going to ascend successfully when you're still hanging on to your old jobs. You know what I mean? Those 9-to-5 jobs. You know what I mean? Like those kind of jobs that are whereby you're just waiting for for a paycheck every day. So the universe definitely is lifting you to higher positions, and is ascending you to higher state of consciousness and to your higher purpose. And there's no way you're going to ascend to your higher purpose when you're still living in the old, when you're still living with the old version of you. So the old version of you definitely has got to fall out, and you have got to ascend as a pure soul, if it makes sense. So the main thing I wanted just to talk about in this video is that for those of you who are going through an awakening, it shouldn't come to you as a surprise that for some reason you're feeling lonely. So you're feeling like it's a very unusual feeling, whereby you feel everything is falling out of place. You just feel like everything is changing. All your life is changing. You know what I mean? So maybe you've awakened at the age of 40, and there are all those things you've known all your life, like the old things you've known. The old friends you used to hang out with. You're going to find yourself like you're no longer hanging around with people. You do not have the you do not have that feeling. You're just sitting down there and people are just calling you up, come on, let's go and hang out, let's go and have a grill, let's go and have a barbecue, let's go and, let's go to the beach. And you're like, oh, guys, I'm good, I'm fine. I'm fine here where I am, and you guys can carry on. So you're just going to be unplugging. You will be unplugging out of the old version of you and those old lifestyle you've been used to. So you, and also another thing, you realize that what may cause the loneliness, you're going to realize that there are some of those things you loved before, like the TVs. You used to watch TVs, you used to enjoy watching TV, and definitely all of a sudden you've just lost interest in TV. You do no longer want to watch TV. Sometimes I remember I don't even remember the last time I watched TV myself. The last time I was like sitting down and watching TV. like a full program, like even a movie, for example, even on Netflix or something. I don't remember the last time I was watching TV, like for a whole program, like from start to finish. Sometimes you can end up like waking up in the morning and you just can't stand TV, because TV like disgusts you. You know, if you feel like the whole television thing disgusts you, you just don't want to watch TV anymore. And also, so whatever it is that you have been used to for a very long period, all your life, until your awakening time, your awakening stage, whatever it is you've been used to, definitely has to collapse. Because for you to be able to come out the other side, you're supposed to also go through a very something what I can call the like a spiritual cleanse. You know, like you're supposed to be like spiritually cleansed. Everything is supposed to be like reborn. You're like you're like, you know, you're like a new baby who is just getting born. Like everything is new to you, all the things are new to you, the language is new to you, you're exposed to those kind of what can I call them, you're exposed to a new reality of things whereby you even never knew actually some of these things existed. So sometimes you can be, you know, it may come as a shock at the same time, but at the end of the day, when you get deep into the awakening, you also realize that it's actually for your better. It's for the better, and it's for your higher good. It's for your highest good. So there's no reason for you to feel like you know, your life, you know, yes, you're going to feel life is changing, but there's no reason for you to be scared about it, and there's no reason for you to be afraid about it, because it's part of the process. And it is something definitely, unfortunately, you have got to go through, because when you're awakening, remember that you've been ordained by the universe to, you know, to start moving towards your life purpose, and to start to, it's part of like you're moving to live your best life, and you're moving towards your life purpose. You know, the real thing, the real reason you came here the real reason you came to Earth. And you definitely cannot start living your life purpose, your exact life purpose, without the old version of you falling out, and letting go of that old self, your old self that was not serving you. So you just have to embrace. You have to learn how to. You have got to learn to embrace this ascension. You have got to learn to embrace the ascension, and accept it for what it is. And also realize that at the end of the day, you know, the other side, you're going to come out a pure soul, and you're going to come out, a new version of you. You know what I mean? So sometimes people will not understand you. People will think there are some people who will not understand you on so many levels, because they have been used to the old version of you that they've been seeing before. And it's like for example, somebody, you just wake up in the morning one day, and you realize that there's a certain friend of yours, you know, that, you know, he's not the same guy, you know, he's not the same guy you knew yesterday. You know, everything about him has changed. So I mean, it's like, yeah, it's not because it's not that he has changed in a very, it's not in the negative way, or in the negative aspect of things, but it's like, for you, of course, definitely, because you've been unplugged out of that old consciousness. So people will not understand you, you know. So anyhow, loneliness, that's a sure thing, because you cannot send ascension has got to happen. Unfortunately, it's an individual thing, whereby you do not ascend with people, you do not ascend with circles, you do not ascend with your old partners, whether it's girlfriends or boyfriends. You do not ascend with you do not ascend with your old jobs, you do not ascend with your old way of eating. So everything that happens in your life is going to lead you to a proper ascension, and to lead you to live the life of your highest good. Meet the right people, meet the people who are supposed to be in your life, and you have to go to, for some reason, you have got to drop all those old circles of friends. You have got to drop. Sometimes you have got to drop your relationships. You've got to drop your jobs. You've got to drop your way of thinking. You've got to drop your old mindset. You know what I mean? You've got to start having a real relationship with things For example, you've got to have an actual relationship with money, you've got to have an actual relationship with spirituality, and at the end of the day, it's worth it because, you know, as much as people don't understand you, it's also comforting to realize that when you become your better version, people now will start to really understand you, and they will start to know where the whole thing was coming from. So if you're out there, this main video is like, if you're out there and you're going through an ascension, if you're going through a spiritual awakening, all you need to do is just prepare yourself very well. You need to prepare yourself very well. You know, you need to meditate oftenly. You need to meditate like frequently. Also, you need to get connected very well. You need to ground yourself. You need to be like step a lot, step often, step out often in the nature, and, you know, connect with nature. You know, so because it's something like when you're in the nature, you get like some sort of spiritual cleansing, whereby, you know, like sometime in the nature you can find yourself so in the nature you have a spiritual cleansing. You have the ego cleansing. You know, you it's like most of your ego, because in the early stages of awakening, remember, your ego doesn't die. It doesn't die like eventually. It doesn't die suddenly. But when you are awakening, definitely at some point you'll realize that the more you connect with nature, the more you connect with your real self, the more you connect with your higher self. And that's where you find that also most of your ego is like, you know, evaporating. You everything just like you cleanse, you're spiritually cleansed, and you cannot get spiritually cleansed definitely within your ego. Your ego has got to go. So it's one of the ways you have to go to. You realize that as you connect with nature now, you're going to become also a very pure soul, and you're going to know very much deeply who the person you really are, and you're going to also realize that you're moving towards your life purpose, and discovering your life purpose, and also the real things you came here to do, the real purpose, the real purpose of your existence, what you came here to do and what you're supposed to do. So you're going to realize that you're going to connect with all those things. So it shouldn't come as a surprise. It shouldn't come as a shock. When you find yourself lonely, it's part of the process. When you find yourself lonely, you have to know that you're actually ascending. And when you're ascending, is a lot of people who will not understand you and who will not resonate with you. So you cannot ascend with anybody. You have got to ascend by yourself. So you cannot ascend with people. And that's what causes the loneliness, because you cannot ascend with your old circles and your old friends, your old jobs, your old state of consciousness, and your old state of the things and the lifestyle you used to live. So definitely you've got to ascend by yourself, and you've got to ascend alone, and of course with the help of the universe and with the help of your guides. So definitely I would like to end this video here. I just want to talk about the loneliness part, whereby some people are going to experience loneliness. When you're ascending, you're going to experience loneliness, and then because the universe is training you to understand how to love yourself, because most of the time people need validation from people. You want somebody to validate you, you want somebody to love you, because you don't know how to love yourself. You want to be, for example, you want to be working somewhere because you believe that you're supposed to work for an income. You're supposed to work to earn an income, but at the end of the day, when you're ascending, you're going to realize that actually you don't need to work to earn an income. You know what I mean? The money can always work for you, and you can always create your own happiness. So you cannot create happiness by going to work. You cannot create happiness by having a job, a 9-to-5 regular job. You can always create happiness by starting your own business. You can create happiness by starting your own way of lifestyle, and by creating those things that you feel passionate about, because definitely when you're working somewhere, you're just fulfilling somebody's dreams. But when you start awakening, you also realize that you can create your own dream without having to go to work somewhere. So those are the things and the benefits of ascension and the benefits of a spiritual awakening, whereby you definitely experience what they call freedom. You experience true freedom. You experience what they call self-love, because you learn how to love yourself. You also learn how to stand by your own judge. You learn how to judge yourself. You learn how to love yourself. You learn how to stand in your own judgment of things, and you learn how to stop believing that you need friends to carry on, to survive. You need friends for validation. You need a girl a friend for validation, you need a girlfriend, you know, you need a boyfriend. You do not need anybody. You just need yourself and your higher self to connect to be able to become your best version. So guys, this video, it can't get any longer than that. Otherwise, guys, I want to wish you well, and it's been a blessing to have you guys on board. There's more unscripted, guys. If you haven't subscribed, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and let's keep the thing going. Otherwise, guys, it's been a blessing to have you guys on board. Other than that, there's more unscripted. Signing out, guys. Love you all and stay blessed. Bye.